The bookshop smelled like old paper and coffee. Lyra stood in the doorway, her tall frame making the entrance seem small. She was 7 feet of muscle and warrior pride, a member of the Zathreen race. Her people were known across the galaxy as the best fighters. But right now, she just wanted something to read. "Can I help you?" a voice asked. Lyra looked down at the human behind the counter. He was average height for his species, with brown hair and calm eyes. He wore a simple shirt and held a book in his hands. "I need something about Federation law," Lyra said. Her voice came out harder than she meant. That was the Zathreen way. Everything was a challenge, even asking for help. The human smiled. It was a gentle smile, not the competitive grin she was used to seeing. "Legal texts are in the back. But if you want something that actually explains how things work, try this." He handed her a thin book. The title read, "Understanding Our Galaxy, A Simple Guide." Lyra felt insulted. "I can read complex material. I am a commander in the Imperial Guard." "I know," the human said. "But sometimes simple is better. That book was written by someone who cared about teaching, not showing off." He went back to reading his own book. Lyra stood there, unsure what to do. In her culture, someone would have argued back. They would have challenged her. But this human just didn't care about the conflict. She bought the book and left. His name was Jake Carter, she learned later. He had owned the bookshop for 3 years. Nobody knew much about him. He was quiet, polite, and seemed to know everything about books. That was all. Lyra came back the next day, and the day after that. She told herself it was because the book was actually good. It explained Federation politics in clear, simple ways. But really, she kept coming back because Jake was different. "Why did you come to Viridian Prime?" she asked him one afternoon. Jake looked up from organizing shelves. "I wanted somewhere quiet. This seemed like a good place." "But you're human. Your people are spread across dozens of worlds. Don't you miss them?" "Sometimes," Jake said. "But missing something and needing it are different things." He handed her another book. "You might like this one. It's about different warrior cultures." Lyra took the book. She noticed his hands were steady, his movements precise. He moved like someone who had trained their body, though his life seemed completely peaceful. The other Zathreen noticed her visits. Commander Thalrek cornered her after a briefing. "You spend time with that human," Thalrek said. His tone made it sound like an accusation. "He has good books," Lyra replied. "He's weak. All humans are. They have no warrior tradition, no honor in combat. They talk and negotiate instead of fighting." Thalrek sneered. "That's why they need us to protect them." Lyra said nothing, but that night she asked Jake about it. "Do humans really avoid fighting?" she asked. Jake was quiet for a moment. He looked at her with those calm eyes. "We fight when we need to, but we learned a long time ago that fighting isn't always the answer. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is choose not to fight." "That sounds like coward talk," Lyra said. Then she immediately regretted it. "I'm sorry. That was rude." Jake smiled. "It's okay. Your people value different things. There's honor in that too." 3 months passed. Lyra finished her diplomatic assignment. She should have returned to the Zathreen homeworld. Instead, she kept finding reasons to stay. She took a security consulting job. She rented an apartment near the market district. She spent almost every evening in Jake's bookshop. They talked about everything: philosophy, history, the nature of strength. Jake never tried to change her mind about things. He just offered different ways of seeing the world. "Why don't you ever get angry?" Lyra asked him one night. The shop was closed, but Jake had invited her to stay for tea. "I get angry," Jake said. "I just don't show it the same way." "But how do people know not to cross you?" Jake poured the tea carefully. "If someone respects you only because they fear your anger, they don't really respect you at all." Lyra thought about that. In her world, strength was everything. You proved yourself through combat, through displays of power. But Jake had a different kind of strength. He was like a deep pool of water, calm on the surface, but you sensed something deeper underneath. 6 months after they met, Jake asked her to dinner at a real restaurant, not just tea in the bookshop. Lyra wore her formal uniform. Jake wore a simple jacket. "I know this is unusual," Jake said over dinner. "Your people and mine, we're very different." "Yes," Lyra agreed. "But I've enjoyed knowing you. You make me think about things differently." Jake looked nervous, which was strange. He was always so calm. "I'd like to keep knowing you." "For a long time." Lyra's heart beat faster. "Are you asking what I think you're asking?" "Yes," Jake said simply. The logical part of Lyra's mind screamed at her. This would end her military career. The Zathreen would never accept a human mate. She would lose her status, her position, everything she had worked for. But when she looked at Jake, she felt something she had never felt with her own people. Peace. Acceptance. A quiet strength that didn't need to prove itself. "Yes," Lyra said. The wedding was small. A few local friends, no Zathreen. Lyra's family refused to attend. The Imperial Guard stripped her of her rank. She became an outcast. Jake held her hand through all of it. He never said, "I told you so," or "Was it worth it?" He just stayed beside her, quiet and steady. They moved into a house together. Jake kept his bookshop. Lyra found work as a security consultant. Life became peaceful in a way Lyra had never known. But sometimes, late at night, she would wake up and find Jake standing by the window, looking at the stars. His face held an expression she couldn't read, like he was remembering something far away. And in their house, there was one room Jake kept locked. "Just storage," he said when she asked about it. "Nothing important." Lyra didn't push. Everyone had secrets. She had married a quiet man who loved books and peace. That was enough. She had no idea who he really was. Not yet. 3 years of marriage changed Lyra in ways she never expected. She woke up each morning beside Jake, went to work consulting on security systems, and came home to quiet dinners and conversation. It was nothing like the competitive, loud life of the Zathreen. It was better. But small things puzzled her. Jake moved through their house like water, never making unnecessary sounds. When he walked, his footsteps were perfectly balanced. When he reached for something, his hand moved with exact precision. These weren't normal movements. They were trained movements. "Did you ever study martial arts?" Lyra asked him one morning. Jake was making breakfast. He flipped an egg with one smooth motion. "A long time ago? Why do you ask?" "You move like a fighter, even though you never fight." Jake smiled. "Old habits, they stick with you." He changed the subject, asking about her work. Lyra let it go. Everyone had a past. She noticed other things, too. Jake always sat facing the door in restaurants. He always knew where the exits were. When they walked through crowded streets, he moved in a way that kept space around them. Small things. Unconscious things. One afternoon, Lyra was practicing her combat forms in their backyard. Jake brought her water and watched for a moment. "Your third sequence," Jake said quietly. "You're dropping your back shoulder." Lyra stopped. "What?" "Your shoulder. It drops about 2 inches during the spin. It leaves your right side open." Jake demonstrated the movement, his body flowing through the form perfectly. Then he stopped, looking surprised at himself. "Sorry. Old habit." Lyra stared at him. "How do you know Zathreen combat forms?" "I read about them. In a book." Jake handed her the water. "I should get back to the shop." He left quickly. Too quickly. That night, Lyra tried to open the locked room. The door was solid metal, far stronger than a storage room needed to be. She put her ear against it. Nothing. Complete silence. Looking for something? Jake's voice made her jump. I was just curious, Lyra said. Jake's face was unreadable. It's just old things. Memories I'm not ready to deal with. We've been married 3 years. Don't you trust me? I trust you with my life, Jake said. He touched her face gently. But some parts of the past are better left buried. Please, let this one go. Lyra wanted to argue, but Jake so rarely asked for anything. She nodded. The next week, pirates attacked a mining settlement 200 miles away. Lyra responded with a security team. The pirates were armed but disorganized. They ran when they saw real resistance. Lyra came home late, exhausted and bruised. Jake was reading in his chair, like always. How was work? He asked. Pirates, small group, we handled it. Lyra collapsed on the couch. I need a shower. I'll make dinner, Jake said. But as Lyra walked past the locked room, she smelled something strange. Burned metal, and the door was slightly warm to the touch. She showered quickly and came back. The smell was gone. The door was cool. Had she imagined it? At dinner, she watched Jake carefully. He was completely calm, asking about the fight, listening to her story. But his hands were perfectly steady. Too steady, like he was controlling them. Did something happen while I was gone? Lyra asked. No. Quiet day. I organized the back shelves. Jake served her more food. You should rest. You look tired. Lyra let it go, but doubt crept into her mind like smoke. A month later, a group of Zathrene warriors visited Viridian Prime. They were young, arrogant, looking for entertainment. They found Jake's bookshop. Lyra was there, helping with inventory. The warriors came in loud, mocking everything. Look at this, one said. A Zathrene working in a human's shop. How far you've fallen, Lyra? Leave, Lyra said quietly. Or what? Your weak human will protect you? The warrior laughed. He grabbed a book and threw it on the floor. Jake appeared from the back room. He looked at the book on the floor, then at the warrior. Please pick that up, Jake said. His voice was still soft, but something in it made the room feel colder. The warrior stepped toward Jake. Make me human. Jake didn't move. He just looked at the warrior. And somehow, the look was enough. The warrior stopped. His friends shifted uncomfortably. One of the older warriors, a female named Kira, grabbed her companion's arm. We're leaving. But now, Kira said. She looked at Jake with strange expression. Respect? Fear? Lyra couldn't tell. They left. The book stayed on the floor until they were gone. Then Jake picked it up gently, checking for damage. How did you do that? Lyra asked. Do what? Make them back down. You didn't even threaten them, Jake shrugged. Sometimes people respond to confidence more than threats. But later, Lyra saw Kira at the market. The warrior looked shaken. Who is he? Kira asked. You're human. Who is he really? He runs a bookshop, Lyra said. Kira shook her head. No, I've seen killers. I've seen soldiers. Your husband has the eyes of someone who's seen too much death. Be careful. Lyra. That night, Lyra couldn't sleep. She lay in bed listening to Jake breathe. He slept peacefully, like a man with no worries. But Kira's words haunted her. The locked room haunted her. The smell of burned metal, the way Jake moved, the strange respect some people showed him. Who had she married? In the morning, news came. Bad news. The kind that changed everything. The Krill Dominion was mobilizing for war. After 20 years of peace, their fleets were moving toward Federation space. Dozens of warships heading for Viridian Prime and other colonies. The Federation called for evacuation, but there wasn't enough time, not enough ships. Lyra joined the defense coordination team. Jake insisted on helping evacuate civilians. Stay safe, Lyra told him at the door. Jake kissed her forehead. Always. You too. But as she left, she heard him walk toward the locked room. She heard the door open, she heard something metal sliding against metal, and she heard Jake sigh deeply, like a man accepting a burden he thought he'd left behind. I really hoped I was done with this, Jake said to himself. Lyra almost turned back, almost asked what he meant, but alarms were blaring across the city. The Krill were coming. There was no time for questions. She ran toward the command center, not knowing that everything she thought she knew about her husband was about to shatter. The quiet man who loved books and peace was about to show the galaxy who he really was, and the galaxy would never forget. The command center was chaos. Screens showed Krill warships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. 1 ship, 5 ships, 20 ships. They kept coming. "We're outnumbered 5-1, the Federation coordinator said. His face was pale. "Maybe more." Lyra stood with other security officers, watching the nightmare unfold. The Krill were insect-like warriors, brutal and efficient. They hadn't attacked anyone in 20 years. Why now? Why here? The largest Krill ship broadcast on all frequencies. A face appeared on every screen. General Vaxthor, the Krill military commander. His mandibles clicked as he spoke. "People of Viridian Prime, we come for what is ours. Surrender the Sword of Terra or your colony burns." Silence filled the command center. "What's the Sword of Terra?" someone asked. Nobody knew. The human delegates looked confused. The Federation database showed nothing. "We don't have what you're looking for," the Federation coordinator broadcast back. Vaxthor's laugh was like grinding metal. "Lies. Our intelligence says the sword is on this world. You have 6 hours to surrender him. After that, we begin orbital bombardment." Him, not it. They wanted a person. The command center erupted in arguments. Who could the Krill want? What human was important enough to risk war? Lyra's communicator buzzed. A message from Jake. "I love you. Trust me. No matter what happens next." Her blood went cold. No, it couldn't be. She tried calling him back. No answer. She checked the house cameras on her communicator. Empty. She checked the bookshop cameras. Also empty. "I need to go," Lyra said. "We need everyone here," her commander said. "My husband. I think he's in danger." But even as she said it, Lyra realized the truth was different. Jake wasn't in danger. He was the danger. She ran through streets filled with panicking civilians. Evacuation ships were loading, but there weren't enough. Children cried. People pushed and shoved. The sky above showed Kryll ships positioning for attack. Lyra reached her house. The front door was open. The locked room was open. Empty. Inside had been weapons. Not modern Federation weapons. Ancient human military equipment. A uniform with medals she didn't recognize. A wall covered in names. Thousands of names. And a stand where something had rested. Something sword-shaped, based on the outline. Lyra's hands shook. She grabbed the uniform. It had a name tag, Captain J. Carter, and a unit patch, 1st Terran Shadow Battalion. She didn't know what that meant, but she knew Jake had lied about everything. Her communicator buzzed with an emergency alert. All personnel to report to the spaceport. The Krill had landed ground forces. Lyra ran. Her heart pounded. Her mind raced. Who was Jake? What was he? The spaceport was a war zone. Krill soldiers, 8 feet tall with armored shells and plasma weapons, had secured the landing pads. They were herding civilians, searching for someone. And in the center of the chaos, Lyra saw him. Jake walked calmly through the battle. He wore a long black coat. In his hands, he carried something wrapped in cloth. "That's him!" a Krill soldier shouted. "Stop him!" 6 soldiers raised their weapons. Jake didn't run, didn't hide. He just kept walking. "Please don't make me do this," Jake said. His voice was sad, tired. The soldiers fired, plasma bolts that could melt steel. Jake moved. It wasn't human movement. It was too fast, too precise. He dodged between the shots like he could see them coming, and maybe he could. He reached the lead Krill soldier and spoke quietly. "Tell your general I'm here. Tell him the Sword of Terra wants to talk." The soldier's voice shook. You're supposed to be dead." "I was retired," Jake said. "There's a difference." The soldier called his commander. Within minutes, a hologram appeared. General Vaxthor himself. The general's face showed absolute terror. "No," Vaxthor whispered. "No, you're dead. We killed you." "You tried," Jake said calmly. "Can we skip the fighting this time? You know how it ends." "The new emperor demands your surrender," Vaxthor said. "The peace you forced on us was humiliation. We've rebuilt. We're stronger now." Jake sighed. He unwrapped the cloth. Inside was a blade. It looked simple at first. Just a sword. But when light hit it, the blade seemed to shimmer with impossible colors, like it was made of frozen starlight. Every Krill soldier within sight dropped to their knees. Some covered their eyes. Others made sounds of panic. "I really hope to never touch this again," Jake said. He looked at the sword like it hurt him to hold it. "But if you insist—" "Fall back!" Vaxthor screamed at his soldiers. "Everyone fall back now!" "We have orders!" a soldier began. "Those orders will get you killed. That's not a human. That's the silent death, the reaper of our homeworld. Move!" The Krill soldiers scrambled backward. Some ran. Others couldn't move, frozen in fear. Jake stood alone in the center of the spaceport, holding his sword. He looked small compared to the massive Krill warriors, but somehow, he was the most terrifying thing there. Lyra watched from behind a barricade. Her mind couldn't process what she was seeing. This was Jake. Her Jake. The quiet man who read books and made tea. But it was also someone else. Someone the Krill feared more than death itself. Federation broadcasts were showing everything. The entire galaxy was watching, and databases were updating with declassified information. The Terran Purge, 20 years ago, when the Krill invaded human space. A team of 13 humans had gone deep into Krill territory. They fought through armies. They reached the Krill homeworld. And in one night, they destroyed the entire Krill High Command. The leader of that team was called the Sword of Terra. He had fought the Krill Emperor himself and won. He had offered peace terms at sword point. The Krill had agreed. For 20 years, they left humanity alone. And then the Sword of Terra disappeared. Retired. Everyone assumed he had died. But he hadn't died. He had opened a bookshop. He had married a Zathrene warrior. He had tried to live in peace. "Jake," Lyra whispered. On the spaceport, Jake raised his voice. "General Vaxthor, I'm giving you the same choice I gave your emperor. Take your fleet and leave. Never come back. Or I come up there, and history repeats itself." "We outnumber you thousands to one," Vaxthor said, but his voice shook. "I know," Jake said sadly. "That's why I'm asking you to leave. I don't want to do this. I'm tired, General. I just want to go home to my wife." Vaxthor's face twisted with rage and fear. "The new emperor said you'd gone soft, that humans have forgotten how to fight." "We didn't forget," Jake said. "We just chose not to. There's a difference." "Fire all weapons!" Vaxthor screamed. "Orbital strike! Kill him!" Energy beams lanced from the sky, enough power to destroy a city block. Jake's sword flared brighter than the sun, and the galaxy held its breath. The orbital strike hit the spaceport with enough force to vaporize everything in a 100-meter radius. The ground exploded. Metal melted. The air itself seemed to burn. When the light faded, Jake stood in the center of a perfect circle of undamaged ground. His sword was raised, glowing with impossible light. The energy beams had hit some kind of barrier and scattered into the sky. Lyra's breath caught. That wasn't technology. That was something else. Something the galaxy didn't understand. Last chance, Jake called up to the ships. His voice was amplified somehow, reaching across the battlefield. Please, don't make me do this. General Vaxthor's response was to launch fighters, dozens of them, screaming down from the atmosphere. They fired missiles, plasma bolts, everything they had. Jake moved like liquid shadow. He was suddenly 20 feet to the left, then above, then behind cover that wasn't there a second ago. The attacks missed him completely. It was like he knew where each shot would be before the trigger was pulled. A fighter flew low, trying to run him down. Jake waited until the last second, then jumped. Not a normal jump. He went straight up, impossibly high, and landed on the fighter's wing. His sword cut through the hull like paper. The ship crashed, but Jake was already gone, falling toward the next target. He hit the ground and ran. Straight toward the Krill command ship that had landed at the far end of the spaceport. Stop him! Krill soldiers formed a line, hundreds of them, all firing. Jake didn't slow down. His sword moved in patterns too fast to follow. Energy bolts deflected into the sky. Physical bullets stopped in midair and fell harmlessly. He was a one-man storm of impossible violence. He reached the first line of soldiers. His sword flashed once, twice, 3 times. Weapons broke. Armor cracked. Soldiers fell back, disarmed but alive. Jake wasn't killing them. He was going through them like they weren't there. "He's holding back," someone in the command center shouted. "He's not even trying to kill them." Lyra realized it was true. Every strike was precise, controlled. Jake broke weapons, disabled soldiers, but left them alive. Even now, even in this, he was choosing mercy. It made him more terrifying, not less. Jake reached the command ship's boarding ramp. Vaxthor appeared at the top, holding a massive plasma cannon. 20 years ago, you humiliated us," the general screamed. "You made us bow. You made us weak." "I made you alive," Jake said. "I could have killed your entire species. I chose not to." "And that was your mistake," Vaxthor fired. The plasma cannon could destroy a tank. Jake raised his sword. The plasma hit the blade and split apart, flowing around Jake like water around stone. Jake started walking up the ramp. Vaxthor kept firing. Jake kept walking. The plasma did nothing. "What are you?" Vaxthor whispered. "Tired," Jake said. He was close now, just feet away. So very tired. He moved faster than the eye could follow. The plasma cannon went flying. Vaxthor stumbled backward. Jake's sword was at his throat. "Yield," Jake said quietly. "Never." Jake's expression was sad. "Then I'm sorry." He didn't kill Vaxthor. Instead, his sword flashed, and the general's armor fell away in pieces. Vaxthor stood defenseless, unarmed, humiliated in front of his entire fleet. "You can surrender with honor," Jake said, "or I go into your ship, and your crew dies defending you. Your choice. 5 seconds." Vaxthor looked into Jake's eyes. Whatever he saw there broke him. "I yield," the general whispered. "The fleet yields." Jake lowered his sword. He picked up Vaxthor's ceremonial weapon from the deck and handed it back. "Order your ships to power down. Get your ground forces back on board. Leave this system." "The Emperor will have me executed for this failure," Vaxthor said. "Then don't go back," Jake said. "Retire, like I did. Find somewhere quiet. Read books. It's better than dying for someone else's pride." Orders went out across the Krill fleet. Weapons powered down. Soldiers retreated. Ships began lifting off. Jake walked back down the ramp. He looked exhausted. His sword's light dimmed. He wrapped it in the cloth again, like he couldn't stand to look at it. Federation forces flooded the spaceport. News drones swarmed. Every species in the galaxy was watching the broadcasts, and Lyra was running toward Jake. She pushed through the crowd. Jake saw her coming. His expression changed from warrior to something else, something vulnerable. "Lyra," he said, "I can explain." She hit him. Her fist connected with his jaw, snapping his head to the side. Jake took the hit without blocking. He probably could have stopped her, but he didn't. "You lied to me," Lyra shouted. Tears streamed down her face. 3 years, 3 years of lies." "I know," Jake said softly. "I'm sorry." "Who are you?" "Really?" Jake touched his jaw where she'd hit him. "I'm the man who makes you tea, who reads beside you at night, who loves you more than anything in the galaxy." He paused. "I'm also the Sword of Terra. Both things are true. You killed people, hundreds, maybe thousands. Yes, and you never told me." "How could I?" Jake's voice broke. "How do I tell you I'm a monster, that I've done terrible things, that I'm good at violence in ways that should be impossible?" He looked at his hands. "I wanted to be someone else with you." "Someone better." Lyra wanted to hit him again, wanted to scream, but she also saw the pain in his eyes, the weight he carried. "Come home," she said finally. "We need to talk. Really talk." Jake nodded. "Okay." They walked back through the ruined spaceport. Around them, the city was celebrating. The Krill were leaving. Viridian Prime was saved, but Lyra felt no joy, only confusion and hurt and a strange, terrible understanding. She had married a hero, but heroes were made through violence and pain, and the man she loved carried scars she couldn't see. When they got home, Jake went straight to the locked room. It wasn't locked anymore. Lyra followed him inside. The walls were covered in names, thousands of them, written in Jake's precise handwriting. "Who are they?" Lyra asked. "Everyone who died in the war," Jake said. "Krill. Human, everyone. I write their names when I can't sleep, to remember." He touched the wall gently. "Most people think warriors are strong because they don't feel. But that's wrong. We feel everything. We just have to keep moving anyway." "Why did you retire?" Lyra asked. "Because I was becoming numb," Jake said. "Each fight, each mission, I felt less. I was turning into a weapon, not a person. So I stopped, found a quiet place, tried to remember what it meant to be human." He turned to her. "Then I met you. And for the first time in years, I felt alive again. Not as a soldier, as a man. You gave me that." Lyra looked at the names on the walls, at the metals gathering dust, at the man who carried all this weight alone. "I'm still angry," she said. "You should be," Jake agreed. "But I'm not leaving." Jake's eyes widened. "You're not?" "No," Lyra said. "Because you're right. You are the man who makes me tea, who reads beside me, who chose to live in peace even when you could have chosen power." She stepped closer. "The sword is part of you, but it's not all of you." Jake pulled her into his arms. He was shaking. "I was so afraid of losing you," he whispered. "You almost did," Lyra said, "by not trusting me enough to tell the truth." "I know, I'm sorry." They held each other in the room full of ghosts. Outside, the galaxy was changing its view of humanity, but in here it was just two people trying to understand each other. Tomorrow would bring more challenges. The Federation would want Jake back. Other species would fear or worship humans now. Everything was different, but tonight they had each other. And that was enough to start rebuilding trust. The messages started within hours. The Federation Council wanted Jake to report immediately. The Zathrene High Command sent official apologies to Lyra and requests for Jake to train their warriors. 3 different species offered military contracts. A human admiral even showed up at their door. "Captain Carter," the admiral said, "humanity needs you back." Jake stood in the doorway, still in the simple clothes he always wore. Behind him, Lyra watched silently. "I'm retired, sir," Jake said. "The galaxy knows what humans can do now. We need to capitalize on that. You could lead our entire military. Name your price." "No, thank you," Jake said politely. "I have a bookshop to run." The Admiral's face turned red. "You're a weapon, Carter." "A weapon belongs in the military." Jake's expression didn't change, but his voice went cold. "I'm a person, Admiral, not a weapon, and I made my choice 20 years ago. The answer is still no." He closed the door. For 3 days, they ignored the messages. Jake opened his bookshop like nothing had happened. Lyra went to work. They tried to return to normal life, but normal was gone. News drones followed them everywhere. People stared, some with awe, some with fear. On the 4th day, a hologram message arrived from the Krill home world. It was marked urgent and personal. Jake activated it with a sigh. A young Krill appeared wearing royal armor. The new Emperor. "Sword of Terra," the Emperor said. "I apologize for General Vaxthor's actions. He exceeded his authority." "Did he?" Jake asked. "Or did you send him because you thought I was gone?" The Emperor's mandibles clicked nervously. "Perhaps both are true. My advisors said humans had grown soft, that your people had forgotten war." "We didn't forget," Jake said. "We just chose peace. There's a difference." "I see that now." The Emperor paused. "I have a question, if you permit." "Go ahead." "How did humans become so powerful? Your species is small, physically weak compared to most. Yet you defeated my entire military 20 years ago. How?" Jake was quiet for a moment. Lyra moved closer, wanting to hear his answer too. "You want to know the secret to human strength?" Jake asked. "Yes." "We lose," Jake said simply. "Humans lose all the time. We fail. We make mistakes. We die. But we remember every failure. We learn from it. We adapt." He looked at the sword, still wrapped in cloth on the table. "Other species fight with their natural advantages, strength, speed, armor. Humans fight with everything we've learned from losing." The Emperor processed this. "Is that why you offered peace instead of destroying us?" "Partly," Jake said. "Also because I'd seen enough death. There's no honor in extinction, only waste." "I will honor the peace treaty," the Emperor said. "And I will tell my people what you told me. Perhaps we can learn to lose too." The hologram faded. Lyra sat beside Jake. "That was wise." "It was tired," Jake said. "I'm so tired of being the Sword of Terra." "Then don't be," Lyra said. "Be Jake Carter, bookshop owner, my husband." "Can I be both?" "You already are." That night, they talked properly for the first time since the battle. Jake told her everything. The war. The missions. The people he'd lost. The Emperor he'd killed. The peace he'd forced at sword point. "I dream about them," Jake said. "Everyone who died. Sometimes I wonder if I'm a hero or just a killer who got lucky." "You're neither," Lyra said. "You're a man who did what he had to do, then chose to stop. That takes more strength than fighting." "Does it?" "Yes," Lyra said firmly. "Any fool can keep fighting, knowing when to stop, when to choose mercy, when to walk away. That's real strength." Jake looked at her with such gratitude that it hurt. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not," Lyra said with a small smile. "But you're stuck with me anyway." 2 weeks later, a young Zathrene walked into the bookshop. She was nervous, her warrior pride clearly struggling with something. "Can I help you?" Jake asked. "I'm looking for books about peace," the girl said. "About choosing not to fight." Jake smiled. It was his first real smile since the battle. "I have just the thing." He showed her to the philosophy section. The girl looked embarrassed. "My clan says reading human philosophy is weak." "What do you say?" Jake asked. The girl looked at him. Really looked at him. Recognition dawned. "You're him, the sword." "I'm Jake," he said. "And reading philosophy isn't weak. Some of the strongest people I've known were scholars, not warriors." "Really?" "Really?" Jake handed her a book. "Try this one. It's about different types of strength. The girl left with 3 books, looking thoughtful. Lyra had watched from the back. That felt good, didn't it? Helping her. Yeah, Jake admitted. It did. More people came after that. Young warriors from different species looking for something beyond violence. Humans wanting to understand their own history. Even a few krill seeking wisdom. Jake's bookshop became famous for different reasons now. Not as a hiding place for a legendary warrior, but as a place where warriors learned there were other paths. One evening, Lyra found Jake by the window, looking at stars. Thinking about the past? She asked. No, Jake said. The future. Our future. And what do you see? Jake pulled her close. I see a bookshop, a wife I love, maybe some students, maybe kids someday. He smiled. I see peace, real peace, not just absence of war, but actual peace. No regrets about coming out of retirement? Jake considered this seriously. I wish it hadn't been necessary. I wish Vaxthor had listened. But no. If it meant protecting you, protecting this place, I'd do it again. The sword is still in the locked room, Lyra said. Yes. Will you ever use it again? I hope not, Jake said honestly. But it's there if I need it. Sometimes the best weapon is the one you never have to draw. They stood together, watching the stars. In orbit, Federation ships patrolled. The galaxy had changed. Humanity was viewed differently now, with respect, with caution, with new understanding. But Jake and Lyra's world remained small and precious. A bookshop, a home, each other. Jake? Lyra said softly. Yes? Thank you for trusting me. Finally. Thank you for staying, Jake said, even after learning what I am. I know what you are, Lyra said. You're a man who makes good tea, who knows every book in his shop. Who chose peace when he could have chosen power? She smiled. The fact that you also happen to be the most dangerous human alive? That's just interesting trivia. Jake laughed. Actually laughed. It was a sound Lyra had rarely heard. The next morning, Jake opened the bookshop at the usual time. A customer asked about military history. Jake recommended a book about the cost of war instead. But I want to read about victories, the customer said. Then read about peace treaties, Jake said. Those are the real victories. Everything else is just learning what doesn't work. The customer left thoughtful. Lyra came by at lunch with food. They ate together in the quiet shop, surrounded by books and stories and peaceful things. I was thinking, Lyra said, maybe we should teach some self-defense classes. For people who want to protect themselves but don't want to become soldiers. You mean teaching people to be dangerous enough to be safe? Jake asked. Exactly. I'd like that, Jake said. Teaching people to defend without becoming what I was. So they did. On weekends, the bookshop became a training hall. Jake taught movements, awareness, control, but also restraint, de-escalation, mercy. The goal isn't to win, he told his students. It's to survive and let others survive too. That's harder than winning. Word spread. The quiet human who had shaken the galaxy was now teaching a different way, a better way. And late at night, when Jake couldn't sleep, he no longer went to the room with all the names. Instead, he went to Lyra. She held him when the memories were too much. She reminded him who he chose to be. You're not defined by your worst moments, she told him. You're defined by what you choose now. Jake believed her, and slowly, day by day, the weight got lighter. The sword stayed in the locked room, wrapped in cloth. Everyone knew it was there. That was enough. Jake Carter had shaken the world, but now he was content to live quietly in it. And that, perhaps, was the most remarkable thing of all. A warrior who chose peace, a weapon who became a teacher, a legend who preferred being just a man. The galaxy would never forget the Sword of Terra, but Jake Carter would keep trying to forget him, one peaceful day at a time, and Lyra would be there, helping him do it. Together,